Welcome to the Starry-Eyed Effect. I'm Steph.
And I'm Brendan.
And I'm Jen. On this podcast, we'll be chatting about all things Williams syndrome.
The ups and downs.
And what it's like living with Williams syndrome.
We're excited to share our community with you. Thanks for being here.
Hey Jen, how are you?
Hi Brendan, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I feel like I didn't see you except for like a hot second in July. I was busy.
Wow. Yeah, that went by way too fast.
It did go by way too fast. I had the time of my life at camp. It was a fun experience. And then I just came home and now it's back to school and busy. Are you busy?
I am busy. I'm involved with Best Buddies. So I'm busy with doing stuff for Champion of the Year,
Cool.
fundraising and all that stuff. I'm involved with golf for Special Olympics. I have a tournament coming up in September. I have a gig on Saturday. Hopefully it doesn't rain.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd say I'm busy and, doing the podcast as well and, all good things.
Yeah, we had a couple guests on today that were great. We had Kayla Patak, and I met her at camp. She was attending camp in the teen program, even though she's 18 and a half. She was adorable to talk to. You guys know each other, right?
Really cool. Yes, we do. We're friends on Facebook and we chat in the Starry-Eyed Effect group chat, and outside of that, yeah, she's cool. I like her.
We have a group chat? Starry-Eyed Effect has a group chat?
The general group chat. Yes, you got to get in on that.
I had no idea. That's maybe... Yeah. Might be aging me a little bit. Okay. That's cool.
I'll add you because I'm admin, so I can add you.
Oh, good. Okay. You can admin me into the chat, unless people are saying bad things, and then don't admin me in.
No, I've tried to keep it pretty, cool and collective and make sure that there's not a lot of crap going on in there.
I enjoyed chatting with her a little bit more because like I said, I met her at camp, but I was with Stella, so my interactions were a little bit limited. Super cool. It sounds like she's doing a lot of great things, and this was her first year at camp, so I liked hearing her perspective as a first time attendee. And then we had Bianca Corozzo, and Did you say you guys met before, or you haven't?
We hadn't. I mean, we went to the same event in New York back in April. But hopefully we'll meet at the upcoming event in November. So I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, Bianca is a speech language pathologist, and she actually just started she's coming on board the WFA as a consultant. She does have experience in the Williams syndrome community. She is currently an SLP for an individual with Williams syndrome, looking to just provide families with the resources and guidance that, as you guys will all listen to this, that's pretty much all I did was ask for guidance from her this whole time on the podcast. But it was a great episode. You can clearly see we need her services. And we wanted to mention that her email is bcorozzo at
Williams-syndrome.org.
Williams-syndrome. That's right. Oh my gosh. I'm glad you're here to remind us. But I thought that was a good conversation that we had with her. And I'm so excited that we have another pillar of support for our community. It's going to be cool.
It's awesome. It's good.
Well, I guess we'll see more of each other in August, maybe.
Yeah.
Now it's September, so maybe September.
Yeah. August is halfway done. Well, more than halfway done.
Yeah.
So
you guys want to should we do some more episodes in September so that we can kind of cover more ground with with school age stuff.
Yes, that would be.
Or
I'd
maybe
like
get
that.
Michelle a different, a different IEP perspective, and we'll look
Yeah.
at some more. We'll talk a little bit more about school and school age problems here for September, because well, not problems, school age opportunities.
School age things.
And such.
and such.
That's going to be the name of the episode: School age things and such.
Correct. All right, well, let's get to the episode. I just decided to chime in and be part of this, so I hope you guys.
Oh, that's great. I thought we were done.
Well, that's great, Joel. Yeah.
I'm keeping all of this in, and
let's get into it. Let's go.
All right, let's go.
Hi, Kayla. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing well. So, for those who don't know who you are, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everyone what you're about and, all that good stuff.
I'm Kayla. I'm 18. I'm from Montreal, Canada, and I love music, and I love wearing like all different kinds of clothing, and I love seeing friends, and that's what I'm all about. Like those three things are mainly what I'm about.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think we were saying, Kayla, when we joined the call, that you are our second international guest.
Yes. I'm very happy about that.
And I met you at camp a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I didn't remember your name, but then as soon as I saw you on the screen, I was like, oh, there's that cutie. You are so outgoing, and I can't even remember if I met you like the first or second day, but I just remember like meeting you. I have a daughter, her name is Stella.
Yes.
13, and she's like spicy. She's not like as friendly. So every time I meet like a super friendly, sweet Williams syndrome person, I'm always like, dang it, you're so great. Why did I get So was that your first time at camp?
Yes, it was my first time actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, tell us how you got to camp. Like in terms of like, how did you decide to come to camp from Canada? That's a long way. And just now you've been here at home a couple weeks, like you've had time to digest it all.
So the reason why I mainly went to camp was because I never really had like a camp that I can go to with people that have Williams syndrome. So it was really fun for me to meet other people with Williams syndrome and get to do like music and like do dancing and like express my emotions through like those kinds of like workshops and activities. Like that was the main goal for me, to have like a space that I can feel free to just be myself.
That's awesome.
So cool. So in where you live, do you have friends that have Williams syndrome?
I only have like 2 friends, yes, that have Williams syndrome, and they're both girls. Yeah.
Because I mean, this is like a lot of people with Williams syndrome. You tend to be like the only person in your community that has. And so connection, I know, is really important, right? Going to a place you feel like you're with. Did you feel that way at the end of camp? Were you like, this is where I'm meant to be?
Yes, I felt very happy, but I also felt very overwhelming at the end because I was like really drained and tired from all the activities and everything. So that was a little bit hard, a little bit difficult at the end. But I felt like during the week, I felt like myself, and I felt like I did so many crazy things that I never would do like on a normal daily basis. So it was amazing for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And
so,
honestly,
go ahead.
And honestly, like going on that zip line for the first time, that was crazy for me because I never done that in my life before. So that was crazy.
I was going to ask you, so at camp, there's like, so you would be in the teen camp group.
Yeah.
Right? We have like a therapy camp, which is for younger kiddos. Like my daughter, this was her last year of therapy camp, but next year she'll go to teen camp. But you were in the teen camp portion, and that's really all about like the whole week you guys kind of work on like a like a production, right? You're like
Yes.
writing songs and you're creating
Yeah.
skits that at the end of the camp that you perform, which were so great. I thought you guys did a great job, but you also get to do activities. So
Yeah. Yeah, I did do this with mine. At first I was very like nervous and I didn't want to do it at first, but then I told myself like, why don't you go and do it? It's going to be a different experience. So I tried it and it was really interesting.
Was that your favorite activity?
My favorite activity was the swing, actually. I loved that swing. It was so freeing and it felt great, just like swinging that high. It was really fun.
That did look really fun. So
Yeah.
this was your first year at camp,
Yeah.
and it's teen camp. So
Mhm.
you say like with a group of people, right?
Yes.
People you've never met before. How was that?
That was fun. Honestly, I loved meeting everyone and having new friends was amazing. And I connected so much with the other girls in my cabin. It was amazing.
Yeah,
That's
you guys
great.
did like everything together, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, Kayla, how old were you when you were diagnosed with Williams syndrome? Do you know?
2 years old.
2 years old. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you said you're 18 or 19?
I'm almost 19, so yeah.
It's 19. Almost. That's exciting. When you
Yeah.
get to be my age, stop telling people like you're like, I'm almost 45. It doesn't have the same kind of excitement.
Right.
So up until now, like just tell us about your journey with, having Williams syndrome when you were young and going through school. How has that been for you?
Honestly, it was when I was younger, I haven't had like any issues when I was younger. Like everything was really great. But when I turned into my teenage years, it was very difficult. Like especially this year and last year, like I had a lot of issues and it was really hard for me. But when I was younger in school, school was kind of rough at first, but then once I got old, like once I went to high school, it was hard too. But then when I went back to the same school I am now, I feel so much better about everything. That high school years were very difficult because I did get bullied a lot and didn't get along with a lot of the kids in high school, so that was difficult. And yeah, but there was a lot of fun things that I did do in high school. I remember like I connected with a lot of the people and the teachers. Some of the teachers were nice, but not all of them, but some of them. So yeah. And I would say now I'm feeling a lot better. Like what I went through the past 2 years were very difficult. I didn't get to go to school a lot because I was very sick all the time. And I would just like, my mom had to take me to the hospital a lot because I had a lot of different issues. Like I lost a lot of weight and like I had a lot of IVs and like all that stuff. So it was really hard.
Was that related to your Williams syndrome or was it like other stuff?
So it was related to my Williams syndrome because I had endometriosis. It was really bad. Like it was like
painful.
I remember having just horrible things going on at that time, and I wasn't myself. Mostly like I felt like I was a different person. Anxiety and depression and all of that all came together, and it was just a bunch of craziness.
Yeah.
So do you still feel like you have, I mean, like, is generally speaking, do you have a lot of anxiety and depression or?
Yes.
And how do you manage that?
I went to a lot of therapy. I've been doing therapy ever since I was 13. So I've been going to therapy, and I've been also at school. I have like a therapist. So like I've been like doing a lot of therapy and like also like a lot of music helped me like through a lot of times. Like I would listen to music whenever I was in pain, or if I was having a hard day, I would just listen to music. And talking to friends too really helps. Like talking to my best, like close friends and close family members, that really helps me a lot. And medication, I do take medication for it. Yeah, that was like transitioning from young, like being so happy when I was young and not having all of this. It was like crazy. Like,
Do you like all kinds of music?
I like all kinds of music, but sometimes when I'm when I'm very hyped, like I get hyped when I listen to music. So like country music is one of like the biggest hype music I feel like that I listen to. And there's some music that I am very sensitive to, actually. So I don't like listen to jazz like that. That's one of the music that I avoid most of the time, because I feel like it's kind of makes me feel like kind of angry in some ways. Like I don't know why, but just like trumpets. Yeah, like trumpets. That's a big one for me, like a big thing that I can't stand. So I don't listen to any of that really.
So at camp, you got to like learn how to play some instruments because you don't play. How was that experience for you?
That was really fun. I really connected to the musical instruments, and when I listen to music, I'm kind of in this world that I can just like hear music all around me, and I feel so free. Like I feel like a butterfly, like just listening to music. It makes me feel like joyful and happy.
Did you like that part? Like, so at camp, like we were saying, you get to like write songs, sing songs, you get to create.
I loved playing the instruments. That was fun for me. I always have had this like special connection with music ever since I was a little kid. Like I remember just like running around the house when I was younger, just listening to music, and my dad would play a lot of music in the house. So every every time my dad would play music, I would just listen to it and just feel and dance. And I'm also a very good dancer, actually. I did dancing when I was younger, so did a lot of dancing. And then I stopped for a long time, but like doing dance at camp was really fun. Yeah.
Well, was it hard for you to leave your parents then to go to teen camp, or were you like,
yes, that was a little bit hard. I think me and my mom are so close, so like not having my best friend like next to me was kind of like not having my mom was a little bit difficult. But then at the end, I kind of realized that it's fun to have a little bit of both, you know, like with your friends and then like stuff with your family. So I found that was really interesting, not having my parents around for a week.
Yeah.
It's also nice to have your own sense of like independence.
Yes.
For a while, to be able to be on your own and you know do your own.
You're with a lot of other people who have the same feelings, right? Like I know I heard a lot of the teens talking that they miss their parents, but yet we're excited to not be with their parents too. Like it's a double-edged sword for sure. Did you how, when you guys were at camp and you were feeling sad about that, like how did you guys like as a group handle that? Did you shake it off and dance it out, or did you talk through it?
Yeah, I talked through it with the counselors, because that's how I communicate. Like I talk through things, and I'm a person that's very open, so like it's kind of hard for me as well to show my emotions sometimes, because I get like nervous around like other people that I don't really know. So yeah.
So what things are you looking forward to going back to school? Is this like exciting or
I'm very excited to go back to school. I love my school. I love it so much. It's like a place that I can go to and be myself. And I love like learning different things, and I love to do, they have like really cool activity, like things that I can do at school, and it's really fun. We actually have a store in our school, which is really cool.
That's
Cool.
cool.
Yeah, it's like in the reward system. So we use that reward system at school, and we get to like go to the store sometimes in our school and get to like pick out like a gift card or like a bookmark, and like they have so many fun things that we do at our school.
Gift cards. That sounds
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it's really great. I love my school, and I love how they make everyone like feel so comfortable and everything. I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How does going to camp help in preparing to go to school?
Definitely made me want to like do more things. Like I want to do more things this year because I feel like I have missed a lot. So I'm gonna try my best to do fun things this year and focus on the positive and be happy and just be myself.
What about like, again, you've, grown up having Williams syndrome. You've known from a very young age that you have it. Like maybe you could, what's like the best thing about having Williams syndrome, and what is a thing that can be difficult?
So the best thing about having Williams syndrome is the music, definitely, and having the like a community that I can really like have friends. And the hard part of it is definitely like the medical side. I would say, in my personal experience, medical is definitely the hardest part. And the stomach, like I had so many stomach issues and all this crazy stuff, and I remember like having to have like especially like the doctors that I have seen before, like as I said, like I talked on the chat on Facebook, and I said that there were some doctors that didn't really like believe me, and they didn't really understand my experience, and they kind of just like left me in the point where I didn't know what to do. So that was another really hard part about
Kayla and I have talked about it because we're friends on Facebook, so we've talked privately about that kind of thing.
Oh, it's good that you guys have, each other as a community to be able to talk through some of these things, because they're not like unique to the world, but they're definitely like how they impact you. That's unique.
Yes.
Able to have like a group where you can talk about that stuff, especially stomach issues, right? Because that's like not an exciting thing to talk about. So to know that that's it, man, that's pretty cool.
And also like I've also went through like not able to eat anything, like drink. That was hard for me too, like especially when I was dealing through endometriosis. Like those 6 months were like really difficult, like not eating and drinking and not able to like know what, like I was in so much pain, and I remember just like not wanting to come out of my bed and just not wanting to be like I was so depressed, and I remember just like dealing with so much stuff, and I hated like having to have so many IVs and so many blood tests and like so many things that they did so many tests and nothing ever came out. So it was like those times are very difficult as well.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're in a good spot now with that?
Yes, I feel like I'm stronger and I'm more able to be myself again and be able to eat my favorite foods that I haven't had in a long time, because I like that took a lot from me. Like it took took a lot of things from me that I'm a foodie. I love eating food, so having able to not eating food was really hard for me. Like, especially like not eating my favorite foods was really hard for me, and not able to like keep things down was very hard for me as well.
Kayla, is there anything else? We got to wrap up, but like anything else you want to tell our listeners about you or Williams syndrome or experience at camp? We talked about all the things.
Yeah, we did.
Yes.
We did a lot of talking. A lot of good stuff.
That I'm strong and that I'm confident, and that any little hill over the way is how I deal with things, and I'm powerful, and that's just who I am.
Hello, Bianca. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. So for those who don't know who you are, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everyone what you're all about?
Hey, thanks. So my name is Bianca Corozzo. I'm a speech language pathologist. I'm located in the New York City area, and I've been in the field I just finished year 23, and I've been working with I've had one consistent client that has Williams syndrome. I've been working with him for 5 years. And given the rarity of Williams syndrome, it unfortunately has made me an expert because I've been able to be exposed to the Williams syndrome community at more so than any other because of the level of like passion and advocacy in the Williams syndrome community, just unmatched by any other. Right. So I've been fortunate enough to meet lots of families. And then I was invited to a symposium last year where I met Mary, and we hit it off. And next thing you know, I am now a consultant. I'm the speech language pathology consultant for the WSA, and which means I can support families in a variety of ways by, consulting and reviewing their current plans, maybe assessing to see if there's something else that needs to be done for their child's communication needs, a variety of needs, just maybe giving them resources. And then I will be participating in webinars and support groups as they come up, whatever I can do to help improve the communication and ultimately the quality of life of those who have Williams syndrome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is like so excited to have you with us, I guess, on board as a consultant, because speech is such a big deal for many of our families. So you worked with like one individual with Williams syndrome. That's kind of how the door opened. So how long have you worked with your Williams syndrome client? So
I have full permission to disclose. I spoke to his mom because I'm very dear friends with his mom. So she gave me full permission to, to speak about him. So Anthony Filipazzo of the Anthony Filipazzo Grant is my boy. And I came on board he was, so he's going to be 12. I came on board when he was about 7. So he was already receiving services. So I came on when it was time to make the next leap, which was like into more abstract language. He already had a labeling vocabulary, but reciprocal conversation, which I'm sure you've seen with Stella. I don't know if that's something you've experienced.
So hard. Oh, sometimes we're struggling there.
Sometimes, especially for it to be natural. Yes. So I came on board at a time when it really fit my level of expertise, and we were able to take him from the previous therapist he had some really great ones. And then I was able to kind of take him now into, pre-adolescence and school aged and all of those things. So it's been 5 years.
Okay. It's been 5 years. And so you kind of already mentioned it, but like really your focus, has it been the reciprocal language piece, or has it been other elements of speech also? I don't know what those are.
So it's been a little bit of everything. Reciprocal language conversation, and that, that ease of like social cues, being able to follow them without it being very rote and very, rehearsed, has been always the underpinning. It's always, because that's the ultimate goal, right? When you want to be able to have, that's what you want at the end of the day, is your child to be able to be an adult who can advocate for themselves in this world and use communication for a variety of purposes, not just academic.
I would love for you to talk about the reciprocal piece and like what you're doing with Anthony. Now that you've said his name, I can say his name too, right?
Absolutely. Because that's really a big focus. But I wanted to say, I don't have the actual research in my hand to support it. I could certainly find it. I did read something once that's like, because I experienced it with my daughter, that there is something physiologically and biologically that happens to the brain chemistry of kids as they go through adolescence, neurotypical or not, that just makes them kind of regress in their higher order skills, like their executive function skills. So if they're already at a disadvantage with executive function, which is that ability to kind of think about their thinking, it will be exacerbated during these adolescent years for a little while. That's, I will find it because I've read it and I've actually shared that with so many people because I find it fascinating that all of a sudden they kind of go back to being like unreasonable people. The reciprocal part, so I remember starting out with him. So he was 7. It was basic, are you? And it was almost like pulling teeth to get that back. He would say fine just to get through the conversation. It was almost painful for him to have to, engage in just like, how are you? And then we transitioned. Now we're at a point where we'll sit there and he'll say, he calls me Miss Beebe. Miss Beebe, what are you going to do after you leave here? And I'm like, oh, well, so it's been a progression. That didn't happen overnight. That happened with just a lot of really naturalistic. I didn't want to force it on him. I wanted it to be as natural as possible throughout like play, throughout, just conversation. I would ask him about, but sometimes he'll just say, I'm like, how was school? How awesome. Well, what was so awesome about it? Tell me 3 things that made it awesome. Because they may have the academic vocabulary and they may be able to label, all kids that are getting services, they may be able to label or use a word in a sentence. That doesn't mean they can access that conversational vocabulary, like to say why they feel a certain way about something. So we worked a lot on that.
What else are you like seeing in general as you look at our community, or what is our community like shared with you that are focuses for you?
So I think it's that there's really I think the social aspect is probably the only commonality. I think everything else is, well, no, let me backtrack. I think executive functioning, which is kind of wrapped up in that higher order skill.
Everything, yes. Mm-hmm.
And that is, people think it's just learned. It's not. Executive function, even in neurotypical children, has to be explicitly taught. So, and I think that with the Williams syndrome community, there's so many competing priorities, right? There's the medical aspect, there's the behavioral aspect, the educational aspect. And then, and I don't know if there's probably a multitude of reasons why maybe kids aren't exposed to that piece that would strengthen their executive functioning skills, which is really just, having that constant dialogue with their families. Like, I try to do that with my daughter, where I, tell her like why I make a particular decision or, time management or things like that. And perhaps in a world where there's so many competing priorities that might get lost. And it's also not easily absorbed if those linguistic skills are in any way delayed. Because I think I'm a parent, I think we're very hard on ourselves. I think we do not give ourselves the grace that whether you're dealing with, I think we all have conflicting priorities, no matter where you are, where your child is in the developmental spectrum, right? That we all have like, whether it's cheer and dance or it's doctors which are obviously a higher priority, but everybody's juggling. And I think if you get a moment of peace and sanity, and it means that in that moment, you didn't teach your child a specific skill. Well, a happy parent is a happy kid. So I think that we don't always give ourselves that. I think, and especially when you're dealing with the kids who receive therapy and, it's like, oh, I should be doing this and I should be doing that. No, that's what the therapists are for. You can carry it over in your moments of, downtime. And I always tell parents, don't expect to do it all day, every day. If you can carve out 20 minutes a day where you dedicate, whether it's conversational skills or even 15 minutes a day, you'd be surprised. Just that consistency is much more important than the length of time.
What are those things that parents should be advocating for? And again, maybe selfishly, because I'm talking like teen, middle schoolish time frame that often get missed.
From the legal standpoint, it's really anything that prevents a child from accessing curriculum. Anything that, so if there's some type of speech and language disability or delay that's hindering them from accessing curriculum. So that would be what school-based services, because that's my day job. I do evaluations for the school system here. So we determine if a child's disability prevents them from, or if the child has a disability that's precluding them from accessing curriculum. Okay. But when they get into 7th grade, a lot of the reading material is implied meanings. And Brenda, I don't know if you can remember back to 7th grade, but middle school curriculum is not as straightforward. Once they hit like 3rd, 4th grade, it becomes a lot more inferencing. Yes. So it's not what's being said, and it's the same as the social cues, right? If they're not able to read it in a room, how are they reading it in a passage or in a textbook? So it's about those implied meanings or making connections between an event that happened, which is history class, right? Isn't history all cause and effect? So I think that is one of the misconceptions. It's not about their ability to speak clearly or even comprehend basic, what's the main idea? It's about the implied meanings. And that's really kind of how we live our lives. I mean, I think most of us live our adult lives by implied meanings, by like what we think something means. It's cloudy out. Well, it means I better take an umbrella, things like of that nature. So that would be something that you could dig deeper into at this school level. I think, I'm assuming because Mary brought me on, she had a vision of me being able to really guide parents through, and I guess it would be like advocacy, right? Because parents sometimes don't know what to look for. It could, so that could definitely be a component of it. I mean, I've been in this field long enough to know, obviously what parents can do to access the appropriate services for their child. Sometimes it's a battle. It's not always handed over easily. But if if the child is entitled to it and the child is eligible, parents might not even realize that, because I think the misconception is speech, like articulation and, the sounds that the child makes or the basic labeling vocabulary and, even little ones, like even, when Stella was little, I don't know if you experienced this, but, even just being able to use language for a variety of purposes. It's not just about labeling. It's about, can they use it to ask for more of something? Can they do it to protest? Like no more. Can they do it for just basic interaction? So I think, just because they can label all the items in their house, that's fantastic, but that's not all encompassing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, as I told you, Stella's got the protesting down. Like hell no, F no.
Because she's a teenager.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So much. So what is you're coming on board as a consultant with the WSA. And so like, how do you have anything that you're focusing on as you are introducing yourself to the community that you want this community, the people listening, to know? And then I guess the second part of that question is, how do people access you as a resource?
So what, I'm always learning. So I'm definitely over the years I'd like to consider myself not an expert, but I have a lot of knowledge and experience in a lot of areas, but I'm learning too. So I'm always open to learning more, and every child's different. So just because I'm the expert in maybe processing doesn't mean that, but I'm not the expert in Stella. You are. So, and I'm not Brendan's mom is like, and I guess now that Brendan's an adult, he is, but, I would never try to, definitely learning as I go as far as the community, because I know it's so diverse. Like not every kid with Williams syndrome is the same. And also I'm here to support. I'm understanding. I'm not going to ever preach to a parent what they should be doing, because we should give each other, grace and understand that the journey is not easy. But I do want parents to know that I'm here to give them guidance. I have a wide variety of experiences, work experience. So I've seen a lot, so I can definitely share. And then as far as parents getting in touch with me, there is a scheduling link on the Williams Syndrome website, williamsyndrome.org. And then when you go to partners, and there is, but I can also be reached by email at bcorozzo@williamsyndrome.org.
Okay. So really like the approach for you is like get in contact with me. Let's talk about your child in depth and the things that, you know, you're seeing. Let's look at if they're in school, their, you know, stuff that's happening in school, and like, let's see where there's gaps, right? Because I mean, it's
Right, exactly. Like, because
I'm the parent that's like, just tell me. You just tell me what I'm supposed to do, and then I will go do it. But I know, like you said, like not everybody is that way. So you are taking a more collaborative approach, which I'm sure is appreciated.
and some do want just give me the recipe, and I'm fine with that too. I just want I think sometimes families are reluctant in general, inside Williams syndrome, outside, they're reluctant to consult professionals. Like I went to the dentist this morning. I was terrified he was going to yell at me, but so I don't ever want any parent to not reach out because they think that's going to be the conversation. Never in a million years. I just know that there's so many things that go on in people's lives that for you to reach out, that means you want the best for your child. So why would I not make you feel we're a team? But if a parent just says, tell me what to do, I'll certainly give out the recipe too, to the best that I can.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, in conjunction with some of the other resources we have, like, so you know about Robin Peg, who's the educational the WSA, and like, ding, amazing. And then we also have Michelle Self, who is great. We work with her a lot. She on advocacy, like in Stella's IEP, so she's our IEP advocate. You bring kind of this expertise, right, that is going to help them in like their areas of expertise, because it is like you were saying, like just because you're a speech person doesn't mean you know all of these other facets or how what you do impacts other areas of like an overall, I don't know if education plan or like, you know, just overall like a plan for your kiddo. So I think that this piece, the speech piece, has really been a missing link for the WSA, and I'm so excited to have somebody on board that is going to be able to point a lot of parents like in the right direction, or confirm that they're in the right direction already. There are some people who are really on top of it. That is not me.
I'm sure you're more on top of it than you think so, but because obviously Stella's thriving. Obviously, she knows how to use all of her curse words in the appropriate context. That is contextual vocabulary.
Yep. I'm really blessed.
There's but also it's not if that's not your for me, this stuff, it's what I've studied, it's what I do. For me, it comes naturally. But if that's not your industry that you've studied, if it's not your field, it would be outside of your, like, it would not occur to you to, let's say, think about executive function, because that's the expert's job. That's the teachers and the educators and the people that are working with her. That's, you can support, but it's not, and that's why I tell parents that all the time, whether it's, Anthony or other families that I work, because I have a large client base. Let them be kids. Let you be the parent. You just support. And let us be the therapist, so that, your kid doesn't look at you like sometimes they don't want to engage because they're like, oh, they're going to try to give me speech therapy, but it's my mom and I want to just talk to her like my mom.
Yeah. Like I love going to the school and being like, I have all of these resources behind me. And so I'm not just coming to you as a mom saying like, here's the things I can work on. I'm coming to you with these recommendations from a speech language person that has 20 plus years of experience, and PS also works heavily with the Williams syndrome community. And I think when we have that kind of clout, it is much easier to get the things that we need at a local level. So I'm really excited that you're going to bring that for us.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited. Also, to your point, I think that even in education, even though it's a public, if your child's in public school, or it doesn't even matter, you should always be, I think that it's important. You're still a consumer of that school. So it's great when you go there and you say, this is what I know. And because teachers are well-meaning, teachers are great, teachers do a lot to improve their profession, but they don't know every child full background unless they've been working with them for years. So I think it's great to have those resources. And I certainly hope I will do my best to provide them for the entire community, and whatever communication needs, I'm here to help.
Well, you are walking into a wonderful community, as you know, of parents and people who are just the absolute best, where I feel so fortunate that if this is our journey, that we get to work it with this group of people, because they're absolutely tremendous. So they can, if people want to schedule a consultation with you, they can do so on the website. There's a link there. And would you say your email again so that we can make sure people get that?
Corozzo, Corozzo at williamsyndrome.org.
Okay, awesome. And I know Joel put that in the links as well. It was so awesome to meet you.
So great.
I heard this whole conversation.
I'm so grateful to be here.
You've been listening to The Starry-Eyed Effect, presented by the Williams Syndrome Association. The show is hosted by Jennifer Keaton, Brendan Lemieux, and Stephanie Karen, and produced by me, Joel Listman. Theme song by Tommy Barbarella and Mariella Elm. Got a question for the show? Email us at podcast@williams-syndrome.org. Video version of the podcast available on YouTube at the Williams Syndrome Association channel. Review us on Apple Podcasts, and maybe it will get featured on a future episode. Make sure to like and subscribe to The Starry-Eyed Effect wherever you get your podcast delights.